I have an approach.
Okay.
Because being very scattered, it's hard for me to systematize anything. Because you put it in one order and then you look at it 5 minutes later and say, no, you should go over here. Because we have this very fluid way of looking at things as opposed to a linear way.
Right.
So what I tell my clients is that we're going to jump around a bit. It's almost like you have this countertop full of ingredients that you could do so many things with. You could make a loaf of bread with it, or you could make a cake, but you just don't know how you're going to use the ingredients until you talk to the person.
My name is Jennie Friedman. I'm an ADHD coach and the host of the show. Yeah, we need a lot more people talking about ADHD because it's invisible. If you had a pair of glasses that could make you see the invisible, what would ADHD look like? You're wondering right now where your glasses are? You're probably in the right place. This show has a mission: demystify and destigmatize ADHD once and for all. This stuff isn't rocket science, people. Would really benefit you. Join Reach Further. It's my paid membership group, and here are the following benefits. You get private access to each other and me in a secret Facebook group. You have access to Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time motivation and accountability group. You get access to body double sessions throughout each week and 20% off all my coaching rates. So that's a huge value. The cost is $20 a month. It's less than going to Starbucks all the time, and it'll give you better help than caffeine. Hey, coaching's better than caffeine. Go to candadhd.com/coaching-group. There you can go and get a $20 coupon off membership price, which is 1 month for free. Like I said, coaching is better than caffeine. Welcome. Thanks for joining in today. I am thrilled to introduce to you Brian King, who comes via Facebook to me, actually sort of, I think, as a recommendation to speak with you. So I'm excited to meet you. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Hey, Jenny, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, wonderful. So I always sort of ask people in the beginning if they'd introduce themselves, and just tell us a little bit about you.
A little bit. I'll try and condense it. I grew up with undiagnosed ADHD and dyslexia, so school was really hard for me. And because of my own resourcefulness, I was able to get my master's in social work and write, I think, 5 books before I was diagnosed.
Wow.
And my graduation present from high school was stage 3 testicular cancer.
Oof.
And I went through chemotherapy and all the kind of traumatic things that come along with that. I was able to get married, and I had 3 boys. All 3 of them have Asperger's and ADHD. I also have a physical condition which is disabling me. It's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I'm reporting to you from a wheelchair.
Okay.
Which I'm using more and more. And my 2 youngest sons also have the same diagnosis. So we have what I refer to as a collection of teachers.
Right.
All of these different things that enter our lives that require us to be more resourceful and resilient. And, yesterday I was in kind of a funk, as no matter how positive you are or no matter how many tools you have, sometimes it just gets to you. And you feel a little pissed off and you feel frustrated. And then once you've spent a little time in your pity party, you get back on the horse and say, okay, what am I going to do about this?
Right.
So I'm a little bit more back on the horse today.
Oh, that's good. Well, I know that you're a social worker and you're a success coach, and you work with people specifically with ADHD and other learning challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose from your experience with dyslexia and ADHD yourself, this is how you've come to develop your own. Do you have a system you teach, or did you?
I have an approach.
Okay.
Because being very scattered, it's hard for me to systematize anything. Because you put it in one order and then you look at it 5 minutes later and say, no, you should go over here. Because we have this very fluid way of looking at things as opposed to a linear way.
Right.
So what I tell my clients is that we're going to jump around a bit. It's almost like you have this this countertop full of ingredients that you could do so many things with. You could make a loaf of bread with it, or you could make a cake, but you just don't know how you're going to use the ingredients until you talk to the person. So I put the ingredients out there and I say, let's just figure out how we're going to assemble these for you, and we'll find the best recipe. So that's kind of how I do things. That's
cool. I like that thought process. And I also think sometimes like it could be a cake today and it could be a loaf of bread tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. So tell me a little bit about this condition that you have, though. What did you say you have that has you in the wheelchair?
EhlersDanlos syndrome. It's named after the two guys that were studying it. And what it basically means is that the gene responsible for producing collagen, and collagen is the main ingredient in your connective tissue.
Right.
Your muscles, your digestive tract, your ligaments, your tendons. Well, that gene is faulty. So therefore I have faulty collagen. It's very weak. So over time, my ligaments and my tendons get weaker, joints start to slip out of place, they start to get stuck. When I stand up or walk, the bones in my feet shift and sometimes get stuck out of place, and it hurts like an SOB.
Oh.
So I have to snap it back in. So that's gotten worse. I used to be able to walk around the block and have no problem. I needed a cane for a while. Then I became too unsteady on my feet and my bones were shifting too much. So I went to a walker. And now it's between kind of the walker and the wheelchair, depending on how good a day I'm having.
Right, I see. Wow. I never heard of that one. And I do know that a lot of people with ADHD have like coexisting stuff. So
yeah, I have yet to meet anybody that just has ADHD. There's usually something else going on.
Exactly.
It's dyslexia, or it's anxiety, or it's depression. So there's a lot.
And also the physical stuff like fibromyalgia and diabetes type 1 or...
I'm noticing with the Asperger's population that I work with, I'm seeing a lot of diabetes type 1 with that group.
Oop. I hear something going on in the kitchen there.
Yeah, my boy is back there straightening out the kitchen. We have a very lively house. It's always
no, that's okay.
I've noticed specifically a lot of boys with Asperger's also have the diabetes type 1.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, how much research is being done about it, but I'm getting more curious because I'm seeing a pattern too. Like I'm starting.
Well, here's something that's interesting also is in one of the videos I watched by one of the researchers out there in the EhlersDanlos population has mentioned that he sees a lot of people with EhlersDanlos that also have ADHD or Asperger's.
It's very interesting.
So that group, and a lot of them are neurologists and geneticists, are beginning to look at what's going on.
Yeah.
Is it the mental component? Because when you have Ehlers-Danlos that's more advanced, you can be kind of foggy. So that can affect your organization. That can affect your ability to remember. That can affect your ability to interact with other people. So when people are looking at you and saying, oh, it looks very Asperger's, it's very socially awkward or whatever, that could be extreme fogginess because of EDS. So if you have a kid that is diagnosed with Asperger's, but is also clumsy, tripping over their own feet, has real bendy joints, and is later diagnosed with EDS, I'm interested into seeing if the differential diagnosis improves. Where you can say, I think this is EDS. This might not be ADHD. This might be something else.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, it's all connected. It's all wired together and interconnected. So It's always interesting. Thanks for sharing that,
I'm glad they're out there doing the research because it just clarifies what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might have to change your approach depending on what it is.
So Hey, hi. I think I just met someone.
Yeah, one of my boys ran out to get the mail and decided to sneak it in here. I have my own little, to-do crew here.
Oh, I love that.
Because as it gets harder for me to do things, I'm asking more and more of my boys.
Right.
And fortunately, they're on board with it, which, makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but that's really a cute name for it, the to-do crew.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your practice. I mean, how do you work with people?
Well, I work with people exclusively over, video conference. I do it over texting. I have one young lady that I'm working with later on today. She's so anxious and so shy that we have our sessions over Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
And because I'm so good with language, I'm really able to be laser focused and really get to the bottom line of things. And I know what it is I'm trying to accomplish with this person. So we just go back and forth through messaging. And the first session I had with her went really great. There was another young lady that I work with that I've been helping her with communication with her brother. And sometimes we get on Skype and sometimes we do it over texting. But just this morning, we did it over texting. And she said to me, how is it you're so good at this? My last therapist told me to just forget about this stuff. And you're really helping me and giving me some good stuff.
That's great.
And it's over texting. So I love the fact that I can leverage technology that way, because there are some days where I'm so exhausted, I need to be in bed. And the ability to do things over texting and use voice to text allows me to still be effective with my clients, even though I'm laid up for the day.
Right.
So technology has been an absolute godsend for me to be able to meet my clients halfway, do the self-care that I need to, and also be able to give them the value that they're hiring me to give them.
Right. Absolutely. And I know that especially in the ADHD population, there's a lot of people that, really also have a lot of the intensity with emotions and sometimes some depression, the anxiety, they have social anxiety. So on their end too, to be able to meet through text, or they could be laying in bed. I have that happen because I do a lot of my, sessions over Zoom, like we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone listening, we're on Zoom. And so I get to see Brian, but, a lot of people don't want to be seen. And they're like, okay, so we just turn off that camera and it's not a big deal, but it is. It's really this.
Yeah, you are so right. I mean, especially the clients that have a real loud inner critic. They're afraid that people that are looking at them are judging them.
Yeah.
So when they want to be vulnerable with you, they're concerned about criticism. So turning off that camera, allows them, like you said, to not be seen, because it eliminates that concern that you're looking at them and judging them.
Right. And also people need to move around a lot. Then they can't just sit like you and I are sitting here having a discussion. A lot of my clients need to move around in order to really think best and process. And so that's when we're on the phone. We're just on the phone, whether that's Zoom or just on the phone, like the old fashioned talking.
Oh yeah. And in the world of apps, there's a FaceTime app, there's a Skype app. So if they need to walk around their apartment or whatever, and they have the camera on their phone and they're just talking to us, it allows them that freedom.
Well, Zoom too. You can Zoom via your phone.
You're right. And it's like, if you're in a therapist's office, you need to sit there and you need to make eye contact.
It's hard, yeah.
For our folks, they can be walking. There's a gentleman I work with who has dyslexia. And there are times when he'll just be walking around his office, or he'll be in between. There was a young lady that I worked with yesterday. She was sitting in a parking lot before an appointment in her car. Mm-hmm. And we just fired up Skype and we did a session. And, there were tears and there was, time where we could connect and I could really support her in what she was doing. And it just takes the commute and the whole office. And there's so many things that are just beautiful about using technology.
I know. It just takes so many barriers out. It just bashes them. Like it just tears them down. And I just got goosebumps thinking about it. Because, honestly, had this been even, 5 years ago, none of this was really happening. Maybe Skype was around, but that was about it. And you had to be at your desk.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And these videos that I do, we talked about a little bit about Facebook Live. I've done videos from my car. I've done videos from the park with my sunglasses on.
Right. Well, tell me a little bit about that, because I was just saying, so everyone listening knows, before we hit record, I said, Brian, I just saw you on Facebook Live. You had just left one, and it's a good one, about starting, what was it called?
Keep, start, stop.
Yes.
So when you're looking at anything in your life that isn't working, or it's not working the way you want it to, you can assess it according to 3 criteria. Are there things that I need to keep doing, things I need to start doing, or things I need to stop doing? Because one thing about my brand of ADHD is my working memory, my ability to keep in mind the steps that are involved in doing something. At the same time I'm doing it, my brain sucks at that. So I need to have a lot of lists. And one thing I found out when I got tested for my ADHD is my working memory can only hold 3 things at a time. So if you gave me 4 steps, the whole thing falls apart.
Right.
Because I've reached capacity. So I love to develop strategies that are in 3s because I can remember them when I'm working with the client. I can recall the 3 things. So one thing is the keep, start, and stop. So when I'm working with somebody, I'm always assessing that. Okay, keep doing that. That's working great. Or no, we're going to stop doing that and we're going to start doing this instead.
Right.
So I said, okay, let's just throw this out there. And Facebook Live is a live video feature that Facebook offers. You can access it through your iPad or your iPhone app. And you just give it a title, you say go live, and you start talking. And people can watch you, people on your friends list. They can make comments and ask questions while you're talking. So it's like an impromptu webinar.
Right.
And I've gotten, up to 1,300 views on one of my videos.
Wow.
Because they pass it around, or they come back and they watch it again, and they ask.
Well, see, that's the value right there. They can watch it again. It's not like Snapchat where it disappears.
Yeah.
Right. This stays as long as you.
You can talk, I think, up to a couple hours if you wanted to.
Really?
Yeah.
I keep telling all my clients that work with me that we do business stuff together, like business coaching stuff. Mm-hmm. I tell them all to do this. I say, right now, the algorithm, it's free and it's really rich and blah, blah, blah. I haven't done it yet. Because I do. I love podcasting. I love talking to people. But man, putting a camera on me, I'm very shy.
Well, see, as you can see by looking at me, your listeners can't tell I'm a little scruffy. Because with my EDS, my hands are getting weaker and they're sore. So I can't manipulate a razor and I can't hold the electric razor long enough every day because it'll make my hands hurt so much that it's hard for me to do the keyboard. So I got a beard trimmer. Every 2-3 days, I'll just grab that thing and I'll, shave down as close as I can get. And so for the most part, I look scruffy. And when you go on Facebook Live, people are expecting that they're talking to a human being. I've seen people do Facebook Live with bedhead.
Well, then maybe I have nothing to worry about.
The people don't care.
I'm like,
If you show up and you give them something useful, they don't care about the rest. There are people out there that are charging a lot of money for a course that tells you how to put the perfect backdrop and what kind of lighting you need to have. And my response is, screw that.
Yeah, I don't do any of that. Yeah.
Whatever happened to authenticity? Just show up. Mm-hmm. And I'm doing very, very well with Facebook Live because people like what it is I have to say. I'm very grateful for that.
I really liked what you had to say. And then it was funny because when you're talking about stopping, I was like, oh, I got to stop doing this because I have a meeting with you. So I didn't actually see the whole thing. I was like, I need to get.
Hey, it's going anywhere. You can go back there and watch the whole thing again.
Exactly. So what made you get into this?
It kind of found me, when I was going through my master's program, because I'm a cancer survivor, as I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I'm going to go work in the cancer department at a hospital. And the first job I got was working for a hospice.
Oh, wow.
And I did that for about 5 years or so, and very, very rewarding work. And when my older boy was diagnosed with Asperger's, when we got him into first grade, and the school was horrible in the way it responded. Their attitude was, let's medicate him. This is behavioral. He could change it if he wanted to. Very. So he was having frequent meltdowns and panic attacks and trying to run out of the school. And I had to immerse myself in everything I could, in order to help him because they weren't helping him. I needed to educate them. And I examined myself, and I'm very Aspergian myself in many respects. So I was able to articulate his experience and my experience and say, this is what you're missing. This is what it's really like. This is what's going on. And I joined a parents group thinking that I was going to get a lot of support. And when I heard them talking about what they thought was going on with their kid, I would say, no, that's not what's happening. This is what's happening. And the meetings began over time were centered on asking me questions.
Mm-hmm.
Because they said I was able to explain to them things that their PhD psychologist hasn't been able to tell them in years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to sum it up in 30 seconds. So one of them, actually about three of them said, where's your office? You're a social worker. You work with these kids, right? Where's your office? We want to come and see you. I said, no, I've got a day job. I just came here because I was looking for help too. So some of them literally were begging me to open an office. They said, I will bring my kid to you and I will tell all my friends.
Right, sure.
So I said, what the heck? I was having a hard time on my day job. So I found a reasonably priced office space. I went into business, and in 4 months, working part-time in the evenings, I'd replaced my daytime income.
Wow.
There was a flood of parents that just wanted this. So I was able to quit my day job, and I've been doing this now for like 10 years.
Wow, that's
the reason
cool.
I switched to coaching is I started getting emails from friends, family members of my clients saying, hey, can you work with me? I live in New Jersey or I live in California. And then, the woman I was married to at the time decided she didn't want to be in the marriage. She didn't want to be a parent anymore. So she bailed and left me a single father with 3 boys with all these special needs. And I couldn't work for 15 hours in an office anymore. I needed to be home for them. So I began exploring the coaching model and what it allowed for me to do. And the fact that I could start working through Skype and phone and still be home to see my boys off in the morning. So I switched to the coaching model. And that's what I've been doing since 2008. And I just keep attracting more and more people from around the world.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's very rewarding
Mm-hmm.
on a personal level too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I always learn something from my clients.
It's really a journey, even though we're further down the line than they are, something about their story, something about their unique situation causes us as professionals to stretch and be even more resourceful and to reach out to our colleagues to help us fill in the gap in our own knowledge base.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful, wonderful journey.
Well, I like how you said, I'm attracting people, because I think that too. I think that is the coach mindset, is that you're not really going and getting clients. I mean, clients are finding you. You are attracting the people who resonate, something you say or do.
And the social media makes it easier. When I share a post or share a video, and then I see somebody tag a friend saying, hey, this is the guy I was telling you about.
Yeah.
That's the awesome stuff, because we put solutions out there, and then people that are within our sphere know somebody who has that issue and says, oh, we were just talking about this. I think this is what you were referring to. And your community begins connecting you with people that could potentially be clients, all because you're just trying to be helpful.
Right. That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Just with my story, I don't have ADHD myself, but it's in my family. And so it really inspired me to understand everything so that I could really understand my family more. And what was amazing, what happened was, in understanding them more, I really started to understand myself. And I thought, oh, see, that's something people, if I could amplify that and convert some people that are really judgmental out of ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
then that would be a really good thing, because it's enriched my life so much.
Oh, absolutely. One of the biggest pitfalls for people with special needs is the people in their lives don't know how to support them.
Right.
They try to understand what it means to have ADHD or Asperger's, and they really don't.
Right.
And they think they're being helpful when they say things like, you need to try harder. And when you tell somebody with ADHD or Asperger's or dyslexia, try harder, you have in that one statement told them you don't get it.
Oh, yeah.
And that can make you feel really, really alone with the people that you're looking to for support.
Yeah.
So you being able to say to the people that you work with, this is how you support them effectively. This is the stuff you better not say.
Right.
That's tremendous because we lean on our support system all the time because there are these huge skill gaps in the way our minds work, stuff that our mind's just not going to do.
Right. It's automatic. It's subconscious stuff. It's not like woeful behavior.
Yeah. They're not really trying to be mean when they say this stuff to you. They really want to help you. They just don't have the tools.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the knowledge. So when you're able to help folks along like that, that's adding tremendous value to the lives of folks like me and my boys.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know it's an important thing. It's because it's not everyone. There's only some people that are open enough to receive what it is. And I hope that we continue to just mushroom, much like I think how all of the like sexual preference world has started to, it really sort of, it all just blew up because people started being related to someone and then getting over themselves and saying, wow, my beliefs are not based on reality.
Being open to diversity and being teachable is really, really essential. Because when you show up in the life of anybody, and teachers struggle with this sometimes too, with the belief that their experience is sufficient to help somebody new. Oh, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've got all these licenses and all these degrees. That's great. I hope that the one thing that is taught you is that you're still learning.
That's what's happening in the school system, like around me. We have some teachers that very thing, they've been doing it for so long, and you can't tell, they're very closed. You can't tell me I've been seeing kids like this for 20, 30 years, 50 years, my whole life, and I know all they need is,
There was an IEP meeting that I was in probably, 10 years ago, and I was kind of going toe-to-toe with this teacher. And she said, because I'm probably somewhere on the autism spectrum, probably Asperger's. And she said, I've been doing this. I've been working with kids with autism for 15 years. And I said, you know what? Well, I've been on the spectrum for 35.
Thank you.
So please listen to what it is I have to say. I'm not trying to make anybody here look dumb. I'm just trying to emphasize that there is more to the story than what you've been able to deduce. And this was the purpose of the meeting was the family wanted an out-of-district placement because it just wasn't working in the classroom. And they began by saying, no, we're going to keep him here. We're doing everything. We can serve him. But because of that shift, I was able to offer to say, we are here as a team to do right by this child, even if it means we are not the ones doing it.
Right.
So by the end of the meeting, they agreed to an out-of-district placement. So
you're good. You're good. So what's the favorite thing that you do? I mean, I know you're telling me you love coaching and all that. What's your favorite kind of like problem to brainstorm with people?
I love working with communication issues because that has become my forte. Growing up, being on the outside, looking in, all the misunderstandings, trying to give somebody a compliment and they say, oh, that's so rude. That's so offensive. I didn't realize that you don't tell a woman that she has a nice backside. Because I just didn't have the filter.
Right.
And it really wasn't until grad school that she's now one of my best friends, took me aside and said, you can't say that. And I would say, why? What's the issue? And she would actually explain it to me. She was the first one to do that. Everybody else would be like, oh, that's common sense. Or how old are you? You should know better. And instead of helping me, they were just telling me, you need to grow up, you need to be more mature, you need to be more appropriate. Great, tell me what to do. And none of them would. So she was the first one that really took me aside and helped me understand all of these unspoken rules.
Right.
All of these things that everybody else was just picking up that I was totally oblivious to. So she gave me a lot of beautiful instruction. And what I learned is that I needed to interview people and basically say, okay, what are the rules here? How do we do this? And people were receptive to that once I told them exactly what it is I needed, about what you're supposed to do, what the expectations are. I can now instruct my clients that have ADHD and Asperger's and dyslexia to some degree, have a lot of verbal misunderstandings. I'm able to help them kind of crack the code of what's going on, of what they're missing, and to tell them how to very strategically self-advocate to get the information about what the rules are so that they don't go in there and trip all over themselves and look foolish.
Right. So if someone's having a problem, even maybe with their spouse and communicating, do you do that too?
Oh, yeah. I've helped a lot of couples learn each other better and realize that the stuff that's been happening is not personal. It's because they have different learning styles. If you're dealing with somebody that has ADHD or Asperger's, there's a lot of stuff that they simply don't catch. You need to do a lot more clarifying. You need to learn to verbalize things that maybe you've just been doing non-verbally all this time. The person with Asperger's needs to learn what they're missing, but realize that it's out there, it's happening. You're just not seeing it. So you need to learn how to ask for those things and coach your partner in how to relate to you. And it's a whole new language, but once people learn it, it's amazing how they can come together.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So how do people reach you? Do you have a website?
Oh, yeah. My website is my name, BrianRaymondKing.com. But nowadays, people are simply finding me through the community I built on Facebook and Twitter.
All the links to Brian are going to be up on cnadhd.com, or they can just reach out on Twitter or Facebook. And
I'm very easy to find.
Yeah, I found you. And so I'd like to ask you a question I like to ask everybody, and that is, of all the things that you know about ADHD specifically, what would you think you want most people to know?
The most important thing to know about ADHD, the one thing I want to encourage people with ADHD to do is to learn to be humble, because you're going to need help. One of the things I see of the clients that really, really holds them back is this belief that they need to do it all themselves. Because the thing that has served me the most is my willingness to embrace tools, to use lists, to use reminders, to work with other people, because to do otherwise is so exhausting and so frustrating. So embrace the fact that you have some vulnerabilities. There is stuff that your brain simply doesn't do, and it is okay to use tools and to lean on other people, because at the end of the day, we're all in this together.
Drop the mic. Like I got nothing after that.
Boom.
Boom. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And it is something that comes up a lot. Just today, I was talking to a client, and I said something along the lines of encouraging her to not, because she does this thing where it's, but that I know I'll remember. And so she doesn't set the systems and alarms and the whatever.
You know something?
She's fighting it.
The Facebook Live video that I just did that you were watching, mm-hmm. I mentioned that. That's one of the things to stop doing. That they keep starting stop.
I didn't get past the stop.
It's stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending you can remember. And start owning it, and start using lists and reminders that you need to do.
Yeah.
Because when you keep saying, oh, I'll remember, that's the recipe for continually letting people down. And before you know it, they're going to stop counting on you, all because you keep lying to yourself.
You tell it straight like it is, then. That's part of your approach, I can tell, just from this brief time together. But this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. Do you do any of that, like you give away something free when they sign up? Oh,
yeah, absolutely. And you can find it on my homepage, too. I have a transcript of a presentation that I did. It's Executive Functions 101.
Oh, cool.
Where I go through all the executive functions, and I offer a few strategies for how to manage them. Awesome. So all of that will be included on your page. Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Brian. I hope you will come back and do this again.
Oh, anytime, Jen.
Bye.
Bye.
If you want your kids to clean up their rooms, finish their homework, stop talking back, or simply respond well anytime you ask them to do something, this guide is a great place to start. Just go cnadhd.com/summertime-success. There you can read all about how Elaine Taylor-Klaus and Diane Dempster from Impact ADHD have tips on summertime success with complex kids. And you can click right on the picture for a parent's guide to motivation. The download is free. Go now. That's it for the show, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. And whether you have ADHD yourself, or live with or love someone who does, or both, remember, we're all in this together. And everybody benefits when we begin to see through the other's eyes.